I'm Jesse Waters. Congress is on vacation. President Trump spending the week in New Jersey, and we're still waiting for Bob Mueller and the 13 angry Democrats to wrap up what the president calls the witch hunt against him for alleged collusion with Russia. If you ask Congressman Adam Schiff, the evidence is right in front of us.
I think there's plenty of evidence of collusion or conspiracy in plain sight. Now, that's a different statement than saying that there's proof beyond a reasonable doubt of a criminal conspiracy. Bob Mueller will have to determine that.
Yeah, Congressman, you're right. There is plenty of evidence, but it's not against Mr. Trump. It's against Lovebirds Lisa Page and Peter Strzok. Remember these doozies? This man cannot be president. I cannot believe Donald Trump is likely to be an actual serious candidate for president. They fully deserve to go and demonstrate the absolute bigoted nonsense of Trump. Donald is an enormous blank. Trump is a disaster. Joining me now, former Secret Service agent and host of Renegade Republican, Dan Bongino, and the author of The Russia Hoax, the illicit scheme to clear Hillary Clinton and frame Donald Trump, Fox News legal analyst Greg Jarrett. All right, so one of the things, guys, that hasn't been getting a lot of attention recently, and I've seen it covered on, I think, Hannity, that's the only place I've seen it covered on, was that Christopher Steele was being paid by the FBI for many, many months and double dipping, getting paid by the Hillary Clinton campaign and the DNC. And he was backdooring through the FBI with a man named Bruce Orr. And Bruce Orr's wife worked for Fusion GPS. And what does that tell you, Dan, about the operation that the FBI and the Clinton campaign were undertaking way, way, way early on in 2016?
Yeah, Jesse, this is a complicated case, but I break it down into three, let's say, sub-scandals. Spygate's the mega scandal. There's three kind of sub-scandals. The one you're addressing here is what I call the information superhighway, or the information laundering operation. And it's best summed up this way. When the FBI's source for most of the information used to spy on the Trump team, a guy by the name of Christopher Steele, paid by the Hillary team to generate this fake, spurious nonsense information against Trump. When he was discredited and deemed by the FBI, and I'm quoting, Jesse, the FBI here, when he was deemed not suitable for use as a source anymore because he was lying about his media contacts, they had to launder his information back into the FBI to use him again. So what did they do? They hired the wife of a DOJ official, Bruce Orr, his wife Nellie at Fusion GPS, reconnected Steele right back into the DOJ, and basically, instead of laundering money, they laundered information. It's an absolute disgrace what happened to this president.
And, Greg, someone made a great point the other day. You know how Dianne Feinstein it's been discovered that she had hired some Chinese mole, Chinese spy for many, many years. When the FBI got wind of it, they didn't send a bunch of FBI agents and spies to go look into Dianne Feinstein and try to entrap her. Instead, they gave her a defensive briefing and warned her about this guy. It's just so much different than the way the Trump situation was handled.
There's no fairness. There's no equivalency here. If you're a Democrat or a friend of Hillary, you get, immunity, or you get off scot-free. If you're remotely connected to Donald Trump, you get people like Robert Mueller and Andrew Weissman and his team of partisans coming after you with a vengeance and really abusing their positions of power. And that's part of the story of the Russia hoax. And you're right about Bruce Orr and Christopher Steele. I mean, Steele's on the payroll of Hillary Clinton and the FBI. And when they fire him for being a liar, they continue to use him in violation of FBI regulations. They were devious about it. They had Bruce Orr as a conduit. And the other amazing thing is, even after the president is elected, after he takes office, and for several months afterwards, they're still using Christopher Steele as a spy on Donald Trump, trying to verify the unverifiable dossier.
And now the big discussion is about this Trump Tower meeting, gentlemen. And the allegation is that this meeting between Don Jr. and this Russia woman amounted to some sort of conspiracy, They don't use the word collusion. I guess the legal terminology would be conspiracy, because information is the same thing as money. But I'm looking at it, and no information was ever given to the Trump team by Russia, yet the Hillary Clinton campaign paid for information from Kremlin sources. They just washed it through an intermediary, Christopher Steele. Isn't there a big difference between the Trump Tower meeting and the way the dossier was obtained, Dan?
You know, Jesse, you just hit the nail on the head. Jonathan Turley, who does a lot of work in this network, who is a very skilled lawyer and not partisan by any stretch, wrote a terrific piece saying just that. There is no possible way the Trump Tower meeting between Don Trump Jr., Manafort, and a couple of Russians, who, by the way, have very deep connections to both the Clintons and Fusion GPS, but that's another story, where no significant information on the Clintons is exchanged whatsoever. Granted, the meeting's a bad idea. Everybody acknowledges that, okay? There's no way that's a crime. But as you just said, Hillary Clinton, who actually paid Jesse, paid Kremlin-connected sources for actual information that was changed, that did change hands. There is no way that's not the crime. I mean, this is basic logic. The Democrats are going down a road here. I'll tell you, Jesse, they're walking right off a cliff, and I don't even think they know it. They're blinded by their hatred for Trump.
You know, the Federal Campaign Election Act specifically says, you can go to the FEC website, it says foreign nationals may volunteer their services in American political campaigns. And information by itself is not a thing of value which would violate the law. What is a thing of value, and by the way, information not a thing of value, money is. Hillary Clinton paid money to Christopher Steele, making that a thing of value. So she clearly violated the law. In egregious cases like hers, it's a crime. But the Trump Tower meeting with Donald Trump Jr., that's not even remotely a crime.
But you know what, guys? I don't want to lock Hillary up, and you want to know why? I want her to run again. 2020, let's get a rematch. Guys, thank you very much, and everybody go get Greg's book. Candace Owens becomes the latest target of Antifa. She's here to react. Next.
You're not the one for me.
This program is brought to you by Oral-B. Brush like a pro.